Hello! Welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel. Today I'm going to have a high school homeschool basket video. And I'm also going to show you a little bit of my planner for the year and what looks different for my high schooler. So this is my homeschool basket for my oldest son. He will be a freshman this year. I mean, we're going to be starting school in like a month, right? At the beginning of August, we usually start. And I've made a couple changes to my planner, and I wanted to make sure, I always make sure everything fits in a basket, but I was like making sure everything was prepped this week and ready to go, because actually when we start school, I may be doing school over at my mom's house for a little while, because we're going to be replacing our flooring in the downstairs of our house. So I need to be able just to like pick up, like grab your basket, like I just need just what we need in a very minimal system. First, I'm just going to show you what's in the basket, and then I'm going to open up my planner binder and show you his section and the planning and record keeping that I plan to do for the year. Yeah. So first, I always have to, like, what's our organization system? This year, we're going with a binder system. We just made a little cover in Canva and stuck it in there for him. And then what we have in there so far is, of course, I always have to have these little hole protectors for stuff that rips out. And I've got, sections for his homeschool subjects in blue. He's got some classes he's taking at co-op. So I gave them their own section in here in orange. And then I just put a bunch of paper in the back for him. So here's his school binder, pretty simple. I actually made him a whole planner. And then I was like doing all this prep and stuff this week, and I couldn't find it. So if I find it, I'll put his planner back up. I'll share with you the planner that I printed and put together for him. But he still has a bunch of these pages. I made him a pad of these, the weekly, to-do list that he's been using through 8th grade, and which has worked pretty well. So I'll just let him keep using these, and if I find his planner, I'll switch it out. But I always have to have something to help him keep everything like on a daily checklist. This is the first year that he's required to have, he has to have like 1 credit of physical education for graduation. So we're going to just go ahead and knock that out freshman year. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think I've talked about what we're going to do for PE yet. I think because I was just still kind of like fine tuning it. So I have my PE notebook I put together. I think there's also an Amazon version that's pre-printed. I am going to use this. It's got a little, letter from me. And then there's pages for if he wants to take measurements, like at the beginning, middle, and end of the year, kind of to see if he's tracking progress. There's a couple like brainstorming pages. And then there's a page to record health and fitness articles that we're going to read this year. And we are going to be getting those from the Easy Peasy High School page. Their PE course has a bunch of links to pretty up-to-date like fitness and health articles. So on days that we read a health article, he's going to log it here. And then there's like a couple pages of just like notes. So I did sign him up for PE in his co-op. So I was like, I don't know, they maybe like have additional resources or things. So there's I think there's 4 pages of notes that he can add to this. So if there's anything extra he needs to do, we can do that. And then there is a completion chart. So there's 180 days, worth here. So there's 1 page per quarter. And it just says like day 1, 2, right? And he can just log his workout. And like say I was like doing an example, like if you did a full body workout, a 30-minute bike ride, if you did weights this day, a 30-minute walk, maybe, and like weights again. I was kind of giving an example week. I was trying to think it through. Let's say we did like Monday as like our article reading day. Like maybe he doesn't have to work out on Monday, but he has to read an article and give me, a tellback of we do a discussion on it. Because he's probably done something pretty active over the weekend. So personally, I am shooting for 3 like workout days a week, and then he has a PE day on Thursdays at co-op. So that's 4 workouts and an article reading day. But of course, and we're going to talk about like what activity he's going to do on each day. It's not like it's going to be like hardcore every day or anything. Okay, and then the rest of the pages are daily workout pages. So if there's something he needs to record, he can do it here. So like exercise, like cardio exercises and stuff can record it up here. This is where he can put, the date. I have these little reminders like, do you have your water? Did you warm up? Did you stretch? Did you cool down? Did you do a cool down stretch, right? And these are for like recording weights. Like I know he wants to do weight workouts. So what did we do? What we kind of decided to do was, there's a YMCA really close to our house. And so he's 14, so he's not allowed to work out by himself yet, but I just went down and signed up with them. And we're just going to go in the morning. They have like a kid watch, they can watch my younger two, between like 8 and 10 there. And so, yeah, we're just going to go down. So we've already started going, and I've been kind of like, we went over the treadmills, and then we did some like body weight workout stuff, earlier. And he really wants to try out them. He's not allowed to use the free weights at all until he's 15. But he can use the weight machines if I'm with him. So we're going to start like going through and, trying out the weight machine. So we're kind of like in a figuring it out process before like school starts. But anyway, so this is what we will be using basically for his PE program, to log what he does, to take any notes on things that he learns maybe from his PE class at co-op, and to log his articles that he's read from Easy Peasy Homeschool PE course. That was PE. That was a lot, sorry. Okay, what else is in there? It's just his, his first Humanitas book. There's 4 of these to cover. There's 2 per semester. So he's got his first Humanitas book. He's got his lab notebook for his earth science class. And I combine it with the comprehension questions from his Brain Builders. You can just print these off the website for free if you buy the books. His, science book. And his science lab kit, it's not very big. I'll show you how big it is. So it's just this box for his earth science lab kit. So I'll probably just keep this like underneath his basket. But yeah, when we go to my mom's, I'll just take all that stuff over there, but this will be easy. So for his literature and composition, of course, I've got his reader, his vocabulary workbook, his language arts workbook. And then there were some printable things that I printed off of the Easy Peasy website. And so those are just all in there together. And then his Jesus, right? How Jesus Built His Church. That's one of his electives this year. And we just always have, his calculator, some whiteboards. You never know when, you might want to do something on here for math or something. And a sketch pad. You just never know. Like he still loves to come in and just like sketch in the morning. So there's that. And he is taking some classes at co-op, which are, okay, so I told you taking PE, something called Inventions and Ideas, something else called Unsolved Mysteries, and Art. So I tried really hard to find classes that were just more like enrichment classes at co-op, because all of his like serious subjects I really like to oversee, and so that I can make sure he doesn't have like too much homework, or like, because overall I like to be able to see overall how busy his week is. And I don't want to have like a big test week on the same week that I have a big essay due for him, right? Whereas when you take classes somewhere else, like the teachers aren't talking and coordinating with each other, so I like having more control over that. And then I don't have any materials for that stuff yet. I think we'll pick that stuff up at orientation. So what I don't have anything in his basket for is math and German. So he will be taking math. I bought Rosetta Stone. I've talked about that before. I will link to the video where I talk about, I think I was talking about Humanitas. I think I was talking about his like electives and stuff like that in the description box. So you can see those in kind of a little more detail. But I bought Rosetta Stone, so he's just going to be taking that course online. So I think all he'll need is, the paper, that's in here if he wants to, because there's like a writing component to it. And he can just do his daily work and put it in his, binder spot. And I don't have anything for his math. So I actually, and this is an update too, I ended up switching us. I decided to go with Shorman Math this year. There was a gal who did a really good video on like kind of reviewing it, and I just was like sold. And I will try, I cannot remember. I can see her face, but I don't remember the name of her channel. But I'll try to find it. I'll try to link it for you in the description box. But the reason why I was going with them was because there's video lessons, and it sounded like a more interesting approach. So Everett, this son of mine, he loves history. That's his favorite subject. And they mentioned in that video I was talking about that they really nestle math within like historical context and real life application. The way that it was presented, I was like, I just feel like Everett is going to be so much more interested. That's going to be so much more interesting to him than just like, these are the formulas, memorize them. It just sounded so much more interesting. And I want to say that the guy who teaches is also like a retired like fighter pilot or something. I was like, well, he sounds really cool. Sounds like somebody who would be like interesting to watch, and to listen to, especially for a boy. I just felt like that was my best shot of being as interesting as I can make it math for him, since it's not his favorite subject. So I didn't really have to have anything for that. It's all online. So I think I have to print some stuff out, which I haven't done yet. I don't think I have access to it because it's like you pay for the year and you don't have access to stuff until like a certain date. So I think I need to go in there and figure that out. And I think I can, any materials I have, I think I'll just be, downloading them and printing them off. And once I do that, I'll show you so you guys can see what it looks like if you're curious. If you're thinking like forward, I'm sure there's like other people that have videos that maybe show stuff. So now I'm going to actually point you down at the desk so that I can show you my planning pages and how I just did some planning and thinking through and what looks kind of different. Are you familiar with my planning and record keeping videos, how I'm kind of doing things a little bit differently for high school. Okay, so I've got the planner out. Of course, I still keep my reading log, those are all basically our home library. All right, so this is his section. And I have his high school track page. So he's going to be, I decided to go back to pre-algebra for Sherman Math this first year. And I think I'll also link to my video where I did the planning for this, if you want to see that. I've got his course description. I need to fill that in. But it reminds me I need to do my application to my homeschool association because I have to give class descriptions for them to approve our application. Okay, so here's something that's kind of different about my planning this year, is I had to work on our schedules because there are co-op weeks and then there's like non-co-op weeks. I had to take a look at all his work, all his stuff for all his curriculum, all his assignments and stuff, how many hours, kind of like what order to have him do things in. And, on days where we have this Thursday, a bunch of stuff, like a big chunk of the day, he can't be getting his schoolwork done. So that kind of made the other days longer, but I color coded it. So here is his co-op week schedule. So I always start with PE, and I just made a note to myself, Monday, that's our article day. And then followed by church history, then math, then German, lunch break, science, literature and composition, and history for those, normal days. And then on the co-op day, we have like co-op, which he has a PE hour there, and his other, enrichment classes. And then to come home, I still want him to work on some math, literature and composition, and his science, because especially literature and composition and science, there's just a lot of work to get through for this year. And then on weeks where we don't have co-op, it looks more like this. So yeah, PE in the morning, church history, math, German, lunch, science, lit and comp, history, and we should be done by 4. I mean, maybe we could be done earlier, kind of depends. Maybe math doesn't take, an hour and a half, but I wanted to give it that much time, in general. If you like this form, this schedule, leave me a comment and say, schedule please, and I'll send you the link to it. Okay, so I figured out, I felt comfortable with like his flow right to the day and stuff. And I'll give him a copy of that too. But so then here's his PE section. And so this is where I'll be recording stuff. So I'll be taking his PE notebook at the end of the week, right? And I'm going to just be recording, if he did an activity or if he did an article, points earned, points possible. I mean, honestly, everyone's going to get an A in PE, right? It's just participation. But, if we did one article a week, and that just goes all the way through till he gets, to 180 days. Okay, and then math, same thing. So I'm using these sheets for my recording. So pre-algebra, and I'll just be recording, what lesson he did. If he had a test or something that day, then I'll grade and record. Okay, here is history. So history, I already went through and filled in what we were going to do, everything that needs to be done, and how many points were possible, because this curriculum, Humanitas, didn't give me grading guidance, so I had to kind of think that through. So I've got, what day of the week, and I'm going to fill in the date. I put in what the reading, is, and what work was going to be done. I think I did a planning video for this too. I'll link my planning video for this if you are interested in more, detail. How I filled this in. Okay, science. Again, I have a product I made that I went through and to help keep track of the Brian builders, like earth science, like what reading and what experiments to do and what homework I wanted to be done and stuff, like this FC means flashcards, right? So I'll check off if they did flashcards or not, comprehension questions to do. So I just filled it out on this sheet mostly because I just wanted I wanted to use all these sheets because I just wanted to use them. But I could have just used the plan that I had. I'll link it for you if you want. And then my possible points, what I figured, if there was nothing to grade for that section, I just put an X on it. Well, this will help me this is like one of the, subjects I care more about keeping on top of his work, so he doesn't get behind. So I wanted to have it pre-planned. Okay, literature and composition. Yeah, I went through, again, easy peasy, gave a lot of guidance on this, but I just went through and put it into my sheet, how I wanted it to look. I remind myself when to do report cards and stuff, what we're covering. This will serve as my, diary or journal, something I'm required to keep for the state anyways. So I just did it ahead of time, and all I have to do is fill in the grades. Okay, German. So for German, okay, Rosetta Stone, I just split it up into the different components of each lesson. So, I was practicing what will week 1 look like core lesson 1. And then he will do the pronunciation section, vocabulary, grammar, reading, and writing. Those are every day. Each lesson has those components. And I'd probably just give each lesson a possible out of 5 points, right? If they did every component he did will be a point. So if he did 4 out of 5, he'll get 4 out of 5 points for the day. And I'm not sure if there's going to be quizzes or tests within that program. I couldn't really tell. So I guess we'll just find out as we go through. And then church history. This is an elective. Again, I went through, I think I just followed the guidance that was in the curriculum for it. So it was helpful. And then there's an assignment for each section. So I'll just be basing his grade off of each assignment. Yeah, so I have these for those. I'll link to these sheets in case you want to look at them. And then that's the next kid. Okay. So that's how I'll be keeping track of what we're supposed to be doing. We'll be making basically off of these sheets is how we will determine what to put on his to-do list for the week. Of course, here's where I track our attendance. I filled this out yesterday. So and I fill out my total at the end of the year. Okay, so I have his planning pages done. I have his schedules filled out. I've got his basket prepped and ready to go. The only thing I have left to do for him is to set up his math course, which is online, and to print out anything for that I need to print out. And we're ready for high school. Happy homeschooling.